Good day, gents. Wanted to do another analysis on our cup win and that first half, which was pretty disastrous for our play. In the first 2 minutes, there were multiple opportunities where, because of our system, the ball fell in such a way that had we been in good positions, we could have gotten through on the opposition goal. Definitely three, possibly a fourth. We're going to go through those first 2 minutes. It's actually 1 minute 15, because I think the last 45 seconds is just bunk with the ball just bouncing around. There's nothing really to analyze there. I would like you guys to spend a fair amount of time analyzing what happens here. Simple reason, it takes a good 2.5 to 4 hours to put one of these things together. Just to put together 2 minutes worth of analysis. Okay, so it's really worth. We think it's worth a lot to us. We'd appreciate it if you took the time. The opening over here. We have a fairly good shape. Both of our midfielders could be a little bit higher up, but it's not serious. Both of our fullbacks could be a little bit wider and a little bit higher up. Not terribly serious, but you have to remember we're attacking here. Weirdly, our opposition is in a high press attacking sort of formation, which if you have a look at Uzi over there means that he's got a right attacker and a right back pushed up all the way on the halfway line. So he can bolt in behind there. On the right hand side as well, Genie, exactly the same thing. Seeps, listen, you had a horrendous start to this game from this perspective, because how can you not know where everybody is now? I mean, it's one thing to scan during a match, but it's entirely another thing to not be aware where everybody is before kickoff. The ball is obviously going through Telaik, and so you, rather than opening up, go through and intercept that ball, which allows pressure to come onto us, which otherwise would not have happened. So we all in the team have problem with scanning, but Sipo, you can't not know this information right now. We need to get your head right before a game, okay, and during it as well. So let's move on. All right, so Fariz, you should be up at this point, offering an option. At the moment, he's got two options behind him. Seeps, now he's on the ball, he's got pressure, but he's got Yaish wide, and he should have you, but he's also got Rama over there. So shape-wise, we're not good. Mario did exactly the right thing by running upfield. He assumed that we would get ourselves into good attacking position. Genie hasn't moved, neither is Uzi. Okay, the ball went back to our players. You are not meant to be worrying about defense at the moment. Now, Uzi, I can understand a little bit, because the ball seems like it might come your way on the pitch, which means you can assist. But Genie, you should be upfield. You should be up where Fawaz is, which is off field to the right hand side. Okay. You should be there in expectation of the attack, but also you've got to remember, by pushing up, you keep players up there and you create space in midfield. I mean, they've done this hyper press thing, and there's a big open gap behind their press because of it. And the more players we had pushed up into attack, the more that would be there. This is a nonsensical press, by the way, by them, because we've got space backwards, we've got space to the side. It's not well designed. This is not a good side. We will face much better sides as we go through qualifiers. Okay, so Rama, you have lots of options here because there's not much pressure on you. And any one of them is viable. The ball back to Laik, because obviously he can see the entire field. The ball to Yaish for exactly the same reason. You could turn and get the ball to Uzi, or you could turn to get the ball to Mario. But the best ball at the moment is to play the 1-2 with Sipo. All right, Sipo is already moving upfield. He can see everything that's going on. And by playing it to him rather than somebody like Uzi and Mario, you're freeing those players up to the next phase. So a simple 1-2 to Sipo, and then he can release whoever's made the best run. Now, I can tell you at this particular point, Genie has pushed up on the line. Fawaz is pushing up on the line. So right now, Okay, if Sipo gets hold of the ball and those guys are in position, he can get the ball to them. He can get the ball behind the defense. If their defense is in great shape, then, like I said, Mario is available. And again, if he keeps running upfield, he passes it to Mario, again a 1-2, that draws people in, and bang, you get the ball upfield. All right. So on your turn, rather than turning and immediately passing, okay, you try to dribble and retain possession. This is what we're trying to get out of your system. There's times to retain possession and there's times not to. That was really bad, Rama. However, at this point, Genie, absolutely beautiful turn. Come in for the ball. Unfortunately, you get fouled at this point. The referee seems to notice and then seems to make the decision not to blow up despite the fact we get an advantage. It is utterly bizarre. However, if you had turned and made it a pass instead of a dribble, okay, then Rama could have released Uzi. See where Uzi is? No one's paying attention properly. He's on the blind side of his marker. You release him, he's down. You saw the goal that we scored. He's down one touch into Fawaz, running onto it with Genie on the far side. Sorry, not Genie on the far side, because you're on the ball. But one touch into them and another touch into Fawaz, and you've got a shot on goal. Okay, like a duplicate of the way we eventually score. So, beautiful turn. You are fouled. You could have gotten away on your own. Bad refereeing, but we account for that. But a pass would have meant that the bad refereeing doesn't matter. Okay. So if you somehow could have got your balance and got that to a small pass, everybody from the opposition's going in the wrong direction. There's loads of space. Rama one touches it through to Uzi. Odds are we get a goal, or at least an attempt. This is just the typical bad play from this side. They just weren't very good. Okay, so now we get a distribution error from the goalkeeper. If you have a look at this, he was going to go long. That would have been a worse option than what Nafis does. Okay, I just want to say that up front. Nafis going long would have been worse. You're trying to distribute quickly, but have a look. If you had looked at the field, you would have noticed that they were actually in defensive shape. So speed isn't important, all right? Now you're going to release it to Baka. The second that happens, the second you notice that's happening, Fariz, you've got to drop to be the option. Okay, and Laik, you need to come across. You notice that he's just decided not to kick. You've got to run across. And Seeps, you've got to make sure that you are in between two men who are going to press him, because they got three men there to press him. Okay, you've got to make sure you're in between two so he can split the pass. What actually happens is he ends up with only the goalkeeper to go back to. All right, we'll go to that now. Let's have a look. So, ends up with only the goalkeeper to go back to. But, Fariz, if you are obviously moving towards him here, he can 1-2. So, Baka, you could 1-2 and take the space. There's still two people who can put pressure on you. And it's dangerous because Laik is still wide, but Laik is coming in at pace. So he would have the position covered. All right, so a 1-2 would get us out of here. Alternatively, and even if Faris found himself under pressure, if the goalkeeper came across a little bit over here, he'd be able to give it to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper could get it to Laik or head it upfield if he felt under pressure. So just bear in mind, little 1-2s, stuff like that, okay? Faris, you've had better games. You're going to come in for a lot of notes and criticism, even in this 2 minutes. Take it on board. You've had better games. This was a rough game for you, okay? So don't be too devastated, but we have to learn. There's a few people who have terrible games on the day, but are far better players than they demonstrate. Let's move on from here. So the chip was a bad option. Of all the options, the chip was a bad option. Okay. Luckily, we aren't playing a good side. They don't manage to exploit it, and so we end up here. This is one of the most disappointing things. We practice this. Okay. Guys, we can't practice everything every week. I need you to absorb and retain This is coachability. Absorb and retrain, and then retain. We spent ages on throw-ins, and now all of you have forgotten. All right. First things, Fariz, you're in control of the throw-in. You're doing the right thing. You got the ball in one hand. While you've got the ball in one hand, if they're not in position, you shout at them. Okay, you shout at them. You are entitled. You tell them to wake up, because remember, the two things we can shout at our teammates for are, number one, not paying attention, which is what is happening, and number two, not putting in physical effort. We don't have a problem with number two at all. I am perfectly happy with the physical commitment of our side at the moment. But when it comes to attention and awareness, we have a long way to go. So, Fariz, when you're in this position and you notice that this space hasn't been cleared so that someone can move into it, you let everybody know. Okay, you make sure everybody knows they're out of that space, because that's where we want to receive the ball. So someone's going to run into it, and if they run into it and they are followed by a player, that means an opposition player, that means that player has vacated a space which one of the other players can run into, which you then target. Okay, like I said, done it plenty in practice. We should not be having this problem. Okay, the whole static nature ends up in this position, but weirdly, this is an incredible position to be in. All right, we have the three men closest to the ball. All right, three men closest to the ball. We're defensively still very, very sound if we lose out. The priority player in this position is Rama, for the simple reason he is the one who's moving closest to forward. So he's moving sideways on the pitch and the ball's moving towards him, which means the job of the other two players is interference. Only if Rama tells one of you to take it, do you take it. Okay, so what happens is Fawaz over here is going to run interference and stop that forward to give an extra tenth of a second. Okay, just going to run. It still looks like you're going towards the ball, so nobody's going to accuse you of obstruction. And exactly the same over here with Mario. You run interference so these players can't get in. All right. That way, Rama comes onto the ball, lays it through to Genie, who is taking space. You can see Uzi on the far side is just getting ready to run. Uzi, the second this ball is, well, right now is exactly when you start just belting down this side. And the ball should come onto Genie for a first touch into loads of space. Genie's touch doesn't even have to be good. He just needs to get it fairly decent and into space. And now you've got Uzi running in on goal. All right. And he gets himself an opportunity. Okay. With Genie supporting him. So here, just from loose ball, we've ended up in an enviable position. But we have a thing at the moment where certain players believe that they are more entitled to the ball than other players. Okay, that is not the case. We have to utilize every one of our 11 players, and the player facing forward is the player that should take the ball, and the other two run interference. Only gets a question if there's two players facing forward, who has the better view of the ball, and is the ball falling into the correct foot for the player. That's how you decide that. Okay. Moving on. So this is a goal scoring opportunity right here. Okay, we're going to see one of the best passes in the game in the first 2 minutes, which is a beautifully weighted, nice, solid, perfectly accurate pass by Laik into Sipo. Okay, I just want to mention right now that everybody can see that the ball is moving towards one of our players. The only person who has to run cover defense at the moment is Baka. Yaish, Fariz, you are meant to be moving into a more attacking formation. Okay? Normally I would call Rama out for being out of position here, but he's only out of position if Fariz correctly takes his space. Okay? So Fariz, if you move in there, then Rama, you also need to move upfield Because the play is heading in that direction, everyone is heading in that direction, and that is correct. Okay, we've drawn players over to one side of the field. There was a throw in that side, everything like that. It's all drawn over. Now we go and we exploit the other side. Now, what happened was Sipo decided to try and switch play. But Fariz, you were the person he would switch play to. If we look upfield, I believe you will find that Genie is right in the correct position. I've got a still here I'm looking at. He's in the right position. He's pushing the line. So when he turned, Fariz, if you had been in the right position, which would have allowed Rama to be further upfield, then we could have counted on them. Okay, well, counted on them, but we could have formed an attack. Because we are lacking players in position, Sipo had to turn again and look to play the other side. So Rama, you could be jumping inwards to offer support there, or you can be going upfield. Mario, you should be doing that run into the open space, and Uzi, you should be running there because it's quite obvious that the ball's going to Yaish. So you've got to offer him two options. So that's our playing up one side of the field, right? Yaish gets the ball. He needs a midfielder and an attacker, all right? And within that third of the field, that outside area, and then he needs a support player, which would be Sipo or Rama. All right. Let's move on. Okay, so Yaish has the ball. He can make the ball upfield, but Yaish, you spent too long on it, which means you've got pressure now. If you try to release the ball first time, yeah, it's a bad pitch. Yeah, maybe it goes out of play. But you've got to remember, we don't care about that. We care about trying to do the right thing, trying to do it quickly. Technical ability, even on a perfect pitch. We want you to take the risk of moving forward quickly. If you move forward quickly and Uzi then comes in to receive the ball, it goes to Mario, and Mario can release it upfield. If Rama takes the position while that happens, then he can release it to there, which is great because Rama can take the space while the two upfield players try to find a way in behind, and his presence would draw somebody out of that space as well. Because you've got to remember that they have three players back there. Okay, because there's 7 in this area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am correct. 7 in this area. So they got 3 players back there. 1 gets drawn, and then it is 3-on-3. Okay, which for outfield players, which is great for us. So you've got to understand that releasing the ball quickly, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But if it goes right, we get into attacking positions. Fariz, you have now gotten yourself into a better position. Well done. Okay. And you are starting to join in the attack. Okay, yet again, the throw-in goes wrong. Now, I was standing on that side of the pitch, so I know for a fact that you had 2 hands on the ball when you did your throw-ins, Yaish. Okay, we practiced this. There's no excuse. You've got time to think. They're in defensive cover position, so we don't need a quick throw-in. Again, the same thing I said to Fariz. You got to remember that this isn't 2 people. This is 1 person. There's a little bit of a glitch on the processing. So, Yaish, you can take your time, all right? Shout at the players if they haven't vacated the space that somebody needs to move into. Fariz, again, you need to move into a more attacking position here. They've got 1 player back here. We got 4 players surrounding him, okay? That's absolutely fantastic. So that's absolutely overbearing on it. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted by something and started shouting the word fantastic for no good reason. So we end up with this throw-in. I only stopped here just to give a note to Genie, okay? There was nothing on here whatsoever, really. Fawaz tries to bring the ball down. He's not in a position to lay it back or anything. Maybe he could have laid it back, but I don't think so. It's really awkward. But I would say, Genie, You aren't in a bad position if you'd somehow tried an overhead kick and he'd maybe get you in there. But if you on the blind side of your defender, you've usually got a better chance of fooling him. Whether you go down the outside or then duck inside, he has less awareness of where you are. I will say that right now, where our defenders are, that's too far. I want supporting players over here. You should already be close to the halfway line. Defenders should be where these supporting players are. All right. We're moving up too slow. Way too slow and leaving too much space. They win possession here. Okay, they've got space in this area, and which they can exploit. And I want to force them to switch play, which gives us time to recover. But they put a ball into this space over here. He beats his man. They got an incredibly quick player. Try and put us through. I know we got lots of cover, but I would much prefer it if we had these men up over here, so there's no space for the opposition, because then we get the ball and we keep pushing them into their half. So this is a quick positive I just wanted to say. This is us finally, for the first time, everybody being pretty much in their attacking shape. Okay, so we've got our two defenders. This is now round about a third of the field from where the throw-in is. Okay, so we finally get ourselves into an attacking shape. They're spread out, so Genie is pushed a little bit out of this, us in a third, but that's absolutely right. He should be pushing up closer to the defenders because it creates this space in behind for Uzi to run into, okay, or for Fawaz to run into, because their fullbacks were always so high. But look at this over here. My only criticism maybe is, because the general shape is good, is Yaish, obviously because you're attacking up on this side, I would expect you to be a bit further forward, and that would create our box over here. Okay, so just as we lost the ball, we finally got into our attacking shape. This was just you guys not coping with the occasion. But also, I would like to say, as we run out the clock on this highlights, because I don't believe there's anything else after this, as we run out this clock, is on one occasion when I gave you guys 45 minutes in a friendly to I said, if you do this, you can have 45 minutes mucking about. Okay, just play to your training. And we did it on exactly this pitch. Just play to your training for 45 minutes. Sorry, for 30 minutes, one half. And the other one, you can do what you like. You did. And we were devastating. Okay, we were absolutely devastating. On that day, I realized that with the proper motivation, everybody understands how we're meant to play. But I can't motivate you. This is the weird thing. For a major match, your motivation has to be internal. Internal, that you want to be good. You want to win, and therefore you want to play the way the team plays. Coachability, reliability. These are the things that we're going to rate you on and decide if you go to Bayhill. If that's not enough motivation, then nothing is. Best of luck, guys. We have an error on screen for no readily apparent reason, but the video that I wanted to show is up. Have yourself an excellent day. Cheers.